Now in Game Week 30, I know a lot of you are going to be looking to hit that wildcard button. So in today's video, we're going to take a look at the ultimate wildcard and also give you all the stats and data you need to be building the best team for Game Week 30. Now before we dive into today's video, of course, if you do enjoy any of the content that you see on the channel, please be sure to like, comment and subscribe, as we are trying to hit 12.5k subscribers by the end of the season. We only need about 90 of you to do so now. So if you, of course, want to become part of the channel and obviously the journey that we're going through here, make sure to hit that subscribe button. It does mean the absolute world to me. Starting off with our wild card, I think it's important to obviously look at the fixtures that we've got coming up over the next few weeks. Of course, this is put together by Ben Krellin. If you want to go and check out his amazing work, there is a link in the description to Fantasy Football Hub, where of course you can go and access this amazing spreadsheet for yourself. So if you click the link in the description, it will take you there. But obviously, as you can see, these are the blanks and the doubles coming up over the next few weeks. Of course, we know about the double game week for 32 with both Crystal Palace and Newcastle United doubling in those weeks. So obviously on our game week 30 wildcard, we want to be looking at players from both of these sides. Of course, we've got the unconfirmed potential double game week 33. That is all dependent on FA Cup results and what happens in terms of the next round. We are going to find out those results before game week 30 though. However, we might not find out if certain teams are going to fall in certain situations, or if there is going to be doubles in 33. That, of course, is the big risk with the Game Week 30 wildcard. Then, of course, we've got the free hit, or blank in Game Week 34, should I say. I think this wildcard is pretty much going to be set up for a free hit draft in that game week. And then, of course, we've got further doubles post, but I think we'll have to kind of wait and see on those ones, depending what gets slotted into 33. And, of course, again, further progression within the FA Cups. So, in terms of this wildcard, we're going to be looking at Game Week 32, the teams doubling there, and, of course, the potential teams doubling in Game Week 33 to really strengthen the team and obviously have as many doublers to, of course, play our extra chips, whether you've got that bench boost left or, of course, like I said, the triple captain as well. Let's move on then. Let's take a look at the 11-a-fide data. Heading into the next 5 game weeks, of course, this doesn't include doubles or blanks. As you can see, Liverpool's numbers pretty strong across the board for projected goals. So, of course, Mohamed Salah is going to be still remaining within this squad. Manchester City's numbers, especially this week, Game Week 30, looking really good with a delicious fixture against Leicester. They've also, of course, as you saw there, potentially got a double going into 33 to coincide with already these strong projected numbers. Newcastle as well, pretty decent numbers across the board and doesn't factor in their double in Game Week 32. So likes of Isak, potentially Jacob Murphy, Gordon, if fit and available, could all be really good pickups. Arsenal as well, with a potential double in 33, could be worth looking at, especially if we get news that Bukayo Saka is going to be back after the international break. He could be a really exciting and fun pick. Bournemouth as well, some pretty decent fixtures. Matchday 30, their highlight. But again, if they do get a double confirmed for 33, that would be absolutely immense. Obviously, building on the good players that we've already kind of selected from their side earlier this season. Let's head on then into the clean sheet data over the next few weeks. As you can see, Arsenal absolutely romping it, and that doesn't even include a potential double in 33 for them. If they obviously get that double, I definitely think doubling up on the Arsenal defence is probably the way to go, considering how kind of flimsy their attack has been at times this season without the likes of Bukayo Saka. Liverpool's numbers are good, but of course with Trent injured, Konate potentially injured as well, I don't think I personally would go there for me. City's numbers are pretty decent across the board. I imagine Gvardiol is going to be a very popular pick on wildcards over the next few weeks. Newcastle's numbers as well are looking really good with a double in 32 as well. So obviously we've lost our main man in Lewis Hall, but I think a lot of people could be looking at the likes of Dan Burn over the next few weeks. Bournemouth numbers are great. I think Kirkes and Dean Huijsen are probably going to be a top 2 picks there, especially if they manage to get themselves a cheeky double in Game Week 33. We're also seeing some okay numbers for Crystal Palace in Game Week 30 and Game Week 31. Factor in a double game week as well in 32. Definitely could be worth doing. There is also the slight potential chance that Palace get back-to-back double game weeks. It isn't plausible, but it's definitely still there, slightly. And if that happens, I definitely think it could be worth, the likes of Mateta, maybe Dean Henderson in goal as well. That was kind of the stats preview, looking at, of course, the data and the fixtures we want to be targeting. Now let's dive into the main reason you clicked on today's video, the wildcard draft for Game Week 30. Okay, wasting no time, let's dive into this wildcard team then. Starting off first with our goalkeepers and defenders. We're going to, of course, have the Arsenal double up. We saw from the 11FI data the strong projected clean sheet numbers that they've got going off. Definitely for me, personally, going to be worthwhile, of course, investing into that, especially if they get that double in 33 as well. That, to me, seems like an absolute goldmine with, of course, Gabriel and Raya. I am filming this before, of course, all the games have taken place on Sunday. It's the only time I'm getting to film this. So, of course, if any of the players do get injuries in today's games or whatever happens, I will update my kind of team in the comments section. So if there is anyone, don't just go and comment. I'll check the pinned comment. That's all I'm going to say on that one. But yeah, like I said, with the 11-5 strong data, definitely going to be worth the double up for them. Good fixtures coming up for Bournemouth as well. We saw the next two are very, very good from a clean sheet perspective. Kirkes is a player that massively passes the eye test. Seems to be picking up assists week on, week in. He's just ridiculous. Honestly, I really, really wish I had the budget a couple of weeks ago to have gone for Kirkes over Højsum. The guy is just broken, and I think that's one of the big things I've learned from this season, is not going for sometimes those centre-backy picks. It is just those wing-backs that are always aggressive, always attacking, and always have the potential to, of course, go and absolutely smash it out of the park in terms of their assists, and Kirkes is definitely one of those players. Again, if Bournemouth get a double in 33, even more appealing as a pick. And then we've got Gavardio. Obviously, again, that Manchester City double is going to be the main reason behind that. Again, we saw with the 11-5 numbers as well, really, really good in terms of their projected clean sheet numbers across the board. We're also seeing as well the fact that he is still the top scoring kind of defender, not in terms of points, but actually just scoring goals this season within the Premier League. I know he's playing a lot more of a reserved role, and maybe he's not justifying that price point, but I think it's maybe one to monitor over the next few weeks, can kind of see if that does continue under Pep Guardiola. But I think, like I said, the next few fixtures, you would have to say that City should be getting some clean sheets, and if they do get a double game week, definitely going to be worthwhile. Munoz kind of fits in the same bracket of Kirkes, where he's one of those players that continually, week in, week out, just picks up attacking returns, massively passes the eye test, playing at right wing at times. Honestly, when you watch him, he's just mind-blowing. Sometimes the data doesn't really reflect what certain players do within FPL, and I think it can be sometimes a little bit misleading. I think with Munoz, it is one of those cases, because if you watch him from an eye test perspective, he's massively passing it every single time for me. He's ticking all the boxes, getting in the positions that I want to see my attacking fullbacks get into. Of course, there is good fixtures leading up to Palace in their double in Game Week 32 as well. Starting off first with Game Week 30, Southampton away. You'd have to bank on a clean sheet and hopefully a few attacking returns along the way. In terms of our bench defender, we've got Anthony Robinson in there. Again, Fulham, all purely down to the fact that they might have that double in 33. So again, just getting in there nice and early. Again, fits that mould of the wing-back that we've kind of gone for with everybody else within this side, that they've got the potential to, of course, attack, pick up random assists. I think he's on 10 for the season so far, and his expected assists are nowhere near that. He's having a very fluky season, but sometimes you just have to pick these players that do, of course, go and break the mould. Let's move on then into the midfield. We're first going to start off with Kluivert. He's the penalty taker. I really, really like that. If they get that double in 33 as well, definitely going to be worthwhile. And of course, a great fixture with Ipswich as well at home. Of course, we've now lost out on Dango, and I just feel like Kluivert is probably going to be the best pick out of the bunch, to be honest. Jared Bowen, he is the talisman for that West Ham side. I've always got a big kind of throb on, let's put it like that, for Jared Bowen and the wild card. If again they get that double with some of the fixtures they've got coming up leading to that, of course Southampton in game week 32 being one of the big standouts, I think he could be a really, really good underrated pick on the wild card, to be honest. Of course, there is a Liverpool fixture in between the double game week that we're ideally wanting, but I think if you can navigate that, take the Wolves fixture, take the Southampton fixture, then potentially get that double game week, I think that could be something that a lot of people aren't kind of picking up on, and I think could be one of those players that potentially we do, of course, go on. I forgot completely that we've got Areola on the bench, pretty much again for that double game week to give us a goalkeeper that has a double for that fixture and hopefully help us out in terms of a bench boost as well. Mohamed Salah's in here. He's going to be the captain. I think he's second over the next 5 game weeks for predicted points on the Fantasy Football Hub model, despite no double game weeks coming up for Liverpool. I think that just shows the magnitude magnitude of how important he's been this season. Even with single game weeks, he's still making himself a real threat, and the Fantasy Football Hub model sees no kind of predictions of him slowing down in terms of his overall output, and I don't either. The guy's absolute machine monster. Liverpool now out of the Champions League as well, so that means he's going to be starting every single game, probably going to be doing full 90s across the board as well. I know, of course, we've got people with double game weeks or Erling Haaland, you know, now making himself as a potential option, but I still feel like the consensus captain over the next few weeks outside of double game weeks is still going to be riding on Mohamed Salah. We saw with the 11-5 projected numbers as well, they are looking stupendously good for, of course, Liverpool over the next 5 game weeks. On the bench, we've got Jacob Murphy pretty much there as a placeholder. We've got enough budget in this team to, of course, go for Anthony Gordon if he is fit and available for game week 30. Of course, they've got the international break to potentially get him to recover. He might even play in the Carabao Cup game. I've seen one predicted lineup, it doesn't have him in, so if he does, of course, feature in that game, then I probably would upgrade that position. I'm a big fan of Anthony Gordon. Again, real driver of the ball and makes them a much better attacking unit. But of course, if he isn't fit and available, a cheap budget option, of course, is going to be Jacob Murphy. Then we've got Morgan Rogers. Again, some decent fixtures coming up for Villa. I think the way that he plays is absolutely phenomenal this season, and he's just one of those cheap enablers that does allow you to go and do a lot with your team. Of course, there's plenty of other rotation options in there for Aston Villa, but I feel like Rodgers is going to be the Premier League stalwart that a lot of people will, of course, clamber to, and I think like his effective ownership will still be ridiculously high. Again, Villa with a potential double game week in 33. Again, all dependent on FA Cup results. Let's move on then into our final 3 players, and as you can see, there is a big absence of Erling Haaland. So let's talk about this and why we've selected Marmoush ahead of him. Now, Haaland's performance yesterday wasn't exceptional. He got the penalty. That was pretty much it. There was nothing outside of it that kind of warranted him being a player that I would happily spend 14.7 million on. I think that's been the case for large parts of this season. There hasn't been a point where I've gone, yeah, you know what, I would be happy to spend 14.7 million. Obviously, those few early weeks in the season when he was bagging hat-tricks for fun, that was probably where we were getting the most value out of Erling Haaland. However, right at this time, I don't see him as a value pick. Yes, if City get the double, he could be that guy. But I still think the team that we're able to build here without Haaland is a lot better and in a lot better position than if we were to sacrifice a couple of these players in here just to go and get Erling Haaland in there. Now, Marmoush has definitely, you know, kind of impressed me a little bit over the past few weeks, I can't lie. And I definitely think he makes City look better going forward. The fixture against Leicester is going to be one where Haaland could do some real damage. But I still think a lot of people are going to go for Mohamed Salah, myself included. I've got Erling Haaland within my side, and I'm still thinking about going Mohamed Salah with my captain for that week, just purely down to the fact that so many people are, the effective ownership, and the fact that Haaland isn't putting in many double-digit hauls this season. So that's the reason I'm feeling that way towards Marmoush, obviously covering off the City attack with some extent. Now, of course, there is going to be some risk of rotation, but I think with City out of the Champions League, I think he probably is going to feature in more games for me personally than not. Alexander Isak, a very easy pick. We saw the Newcastle data looking extremely good on the 11-5 model without even, of course, factoring in the double game week in 32. Of course, if you've got that triple captainship left as well, he could be a fantastic player to, of course, go and select for that one. The reason as well we've only selected 2 Newcastle players, if you're planning on playing the AM chip, game week 31, of course, then you're looking to play, obviously, the Newcastle or Palace manager in game week 32. We have left that door, of course, open. But if you wanted to swap maybe one of your defenders for, of course, Dan Burn, that is also an option. Then finally, we've got Mateta. Like I said, Palace's fixtures, if they get back-to-back doubles, will be absolutely phenomenal. And I think a lot of us will, of course, be looking at triple Palace. But Mateta and Munoz are my 2 favourite players. Of course, we need to wait and see if Mateta does feature. Of course, though, we do get an FA Cup round before the next Premier League round to see if he is actually fit and available. Let's go ahead and take a look at how this team would be progressing over the next few weeks. Then obviously game week 31 looking pretty decent. I don't think you'd need to make any transfers. Of course, you've got Jacob Murphy that can kind of come in for any player that you want there. Game week 32, the team is looking, of course, very decent with Jacob Murphy. He would probably, there we go, drop Mohamed Salah. You'd have Rodgers against Southampton, probably play him ahead of Kirkez, just like that. Again, the team is looking ridiculously strong heading into game week 32. Then finally, game week 33, as you can see, some of the doubles have, of course, slotted in. It hasn't factored in the Bournemouth potential ones there for this one. But again, like I said, they could get that double. And if they were to get that double, of course, that would mean then we'd have another set of players to go in here. But as you can see, pretty decent team across the board to be heading into that week with. Pretty set in terms of doublers. You've got, obviously, the double Arsenal defence as well with Ipswich away. And, of course, we've got plenty of money in the bank for potentially upgrading or, of course, bringing in people to make the bench a little bit stronger for a strong bench boost and try and get, a team full of doublers or a bench potentially full of doublers as well with free transfers in hand. That was my Game Week 30 wildcard draft. Let me know what you think of it down in the comment section below. Of course, if you've got any questions about your team as well, get them in as we'll try to help you as best as possible. But thank you very much for watching today, ladies and gentlemen, and good luck in Game Week 30.